So today we're going to be doing a lighting demo, and it's going to be a minimal setup. I'm going to be filming the lighting demo with my Blackmagic 6K full frame with a Zeiss CP2 50mm lens. The first light I'm going to be using for this lighting demo is going to be the Nanlite Pavobulb bulbs. What I really love about the Pavobulb bulbs is that I'm able to control them from my phone with the Nanlink app. So I can go from 2700K to 75K. And additionally, I can actually just go into changing the hue completely and really adjusting it all from my phone. We have our first light placed, so now let's add in our second light, which, looking at the image, I think we need a little bit more fill on my face. Not too much, just a little kick, and we can go about that a couple different ways. We can actually put a light, or more or less what a lot of filmmakers, cinematographers do, which is just kind of just put a bounce in. So we can do that, but I think maybe we'll do a little bit of both. We'll do a light and then we'll do an actual bounce. So let's get to it. We're going to be using the GVM panel light, which I got this, geez, I want to say almost 10 years ago. It's been a while, but they're one of the companies that I found on Amazon when I was really starting to get more into acquiring gear, and they have just exploded over the years, which is really great because they're affordable and really good lights when you need something that is quick and fast, or quick and good. Can't remember what the ratio thing is. Fast, cheap, good. There you go. So it's cheap and good. Go there. Also, too, the intensity on that, well, this is 99, so that's a little bit too bright. That I don't really like that. And then we'll start there, and we'll just kind of walk it back a little bit. So only problem with this is that I can't control this, on my phone, which obviously would be ideal. So we'll just let me record on this guy. So I have it, which it looks okay. I think it's a little too bright for my liking, and also too, it's too even for me. I don't really like that. I liked having kind of that split look to it. So off, way more moody, right? And then on. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to diffuse it with just a silk that's just normal, or the other option too as well is, since I don't like the intensity of how this looks, is I'm just gonna go with a tube light, a smaller tube light that I will put to the light stand and just kind of adjust it as I need to. So let's bounce over to that. These are newer, and I think they're about $30. I have two of them. I like having these just to kind of like place in scenes, whether it's just accent light or if it's fill light. So it really kind of depends on the situation that I'm in to do this. So again, I can change the color, temperature, and everything else like that. I can go all the way down to 25 Kelvin and all the way up to, goes pretty high, 85, so much colder. And I'm gonna kind of settle in, I'll probably settle in at 35, just kind of give a little bit variation, or I don't know, I'll decide. I'll keep it at 27 for right now. I'm using my closet door to bounce the light off of it, so it's not that much more of an intense source, or it's not as intense as the panel light. So this is with it off, this is with it on. So it's a little bit more subtle in terms of like what we're going for. And the intensity is at 35% and the color temperature is at 2700. So it's matching what I have on the Pavobulb. So when doing stuff, or when I'm filming stuff and working with clients, I try and gauge in terms of like what mood that they're kind of going for. It also depends on what is it. What is it? Is it a commercial? Is it a testimonial? Is it a moody short film? Is it a comedy? I mean, it's all varying, but I mean, ultimately as well, and kind of where we're at with filmmaking is you can kind of change anything to what you want it to be given the project. So in post-production, and I'm kind of going away from that and wanting to light what the end result is going to be. Yes, we have wide dynamic range. Yes, we can kind of change anything that we want. Knowing where the world is on set, even as early as pre-production, and then going in and selecting wardrobe and the colors of the props, the colors of the environment that you're going to be living in with these characters and in your film goes such a long way, as opposed to figuring it out in post-production. I think I'm going to stick with this. I like it. It looks cool. So the bigger thing that I'm going to work on next, which is something that I truly cannot live without, which is backlight, which I do have a little bit of backlight coming, from reflecting off of the white walls, which are terrible, but we're going to make it work for what it is. The next light we're going to be using is the newer 6B60 RGB. Now, I bought this on sale from Amazon about 3 years ago, and it's done a pretty good job of just being a nice backlight or a nice little kick for certain things. So I'm in a smaller space, so I don't really need my GVM 400 or my GVM 300. So I think the 60 watt is going to be just fine for what we need. And if anything, we might need to kind of corner it off. I don't have barn doors for this for now. These are about 60 bucks. I have 5 of these. Totally worth it. I like these a lot. They don't have barn doors, but you can get some black wrap and just kind of make your own little snoot or, makeshift matte box. Point though, do not put these on anything larger than, I would say, a 200 watt output light. These things get extremely hot, and in the days of using halogen lights like Ari's or Mo Richardson's, have a pair of gloves. They're extremely helpful to have when you're using light and grip gear. Obviously, I had a nasty run-in with not wearing gloves one time, and I smashed my finger. So always wear protection when handling lights and grip gear, because you never know when the light might be hot or your hands might be in the way of getting smashed or mangled in some kind of way. So it's not fun. All right, let's get this newer 60 watt light in place as our backlight. So something I like to do is I just like to turn off everything else and then just see what the fuck is this new light doing to a scene, or where it's falling and where it's going, right? So sometimes you just kind of have to reset and kind of gather your thoughts, because sometimes there's a lot of stuff just moving, a lot of things that you can't really focus on, and your mind's just kind of wandering from one thing to the next, and you need to have time to kind of gather your thoughts, right? So as I'm looking in the camera, I'm just seeing more and more that this light needs to go higher. So the window is more on my left side, so which is perfect, where this light is falling on my, this backlight is falling on me. Now on the right hand side, we gonna have the Pavobulb, which is gonna, give the motivated lighting of that orange, color, the 27 Kelvin. And then again, with this light that's right here, is going to provide the bounce from this light that is kind of giving more off of what it needs to be, because this light Pavobulb is more on the right side of the screen, or more over here. So that light's kind of motivated to bounce over here, which is why we have this other light here. So it's motivated in that sense, as well as the window being over here is going to give that motivated cold light sunlight. So let's turn on the rest of these lights. Sorry, I'm looking up at the screen as I'm doing this. So I think kind of like that's kind of where I want to be. See, there's the lens right kissing that edge of the frame right there. All right, so I think we can live with this. However, like I said, there's more stuff that we can do with what we got going on in the room. So let's try and like play around with that a little bit. So let's, you know, the other light that I have of this, also additionally, I have 4 Nanlite tube lights that are RGB, and I can change, let's try and like change the color of the room a little bit and see what we can do with that. So let's switch on over and adjust a little bit more. I think I gotta change my mark here that I have on the ground to kind of be more this way and kind of like out towards the camera rather than just straight on. So this way it looks a little bit better. So let's go with that, and then let's go with adding some color into this whole thing. For the back wall accent lights, I'm using the 4-foot Nanlite Pavobulb RGB lights. So what I ended up doing is more of a, you know, cotton candy kind of look. So as you can see, there's more on this side, it's more blue or teal, and this side is a little bit more red or pink, if you will. It's kind of, you know, it's all right given the space, but it changes kind of like the look of everything of what it is, right? So kind of just adjusting it as needed to be for what the environment is, and just adding those little changes to the room compared to what it was before when we first started out. It's a completely different kind of look and feel, and just kind of dialing those things in, adjusting as you will with most things. You have to kind of go with the flow and see what the space allowed you to do, and also the time that you have. Luckily for me, I had a little bit of time today to kind of do this like little demo setup kind of thing. I'm okay with it. I'm not, you know, entirely super happy with it, but I am totally fine with it. And you know, that's kind of like the best that you can kind of hope for a lot of different situations that you're in, or that you find yourself in when you're collaborating or making something from scratch. So I didn't really have a plan today. I just kind of had something, an idea. And even in that sense, I feel like I can kind of do a little bit more atmosphere. So this is a little fog machine, $60 off of Amazon. Comes with a little carrying case and with some other attachments, a remote, so you can do this remotely, obviously, and then some other attachments for like product type stuff, or if you want to like do an effect and your prop has to have smoke, like, you know, just pulling something out of a case or something like that. Anyway, here, let me do a little test. If you're doing this inside, have windows open, because your smoke alarm won't go off. Ask me how I know. All right. And just kind of let it waft a little bit. And, you know, having a fogger really elevates your image, your film, or whatever you're doing. And it's pretty affordable, I would say. Like I said, $60 for that. Might be $70 now, but you get the fog juice and it lasts a pretty long time. I've only had to fill up the device a few times, I would say, and I'm still on the first bottle. And you can buy more of the fog juice, reasonable rate. It's probably maybe $30 or $40 if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But yeah, that is the lighting tutorial. That is a little extra piece for you to kind of think about and maybe add to your arsenal. And also too, I did not acquire all of this stuff overnight. It took me years to get to this point. So go at your own pace. You don't have to buy the newest, latest gear. You can buy something that is affordable to you. And as you can see, the various sizes of lights and everything gets the job done. You know, I have, 300 watt light and a 400 watt light from GVM. I didn't use them in the setup at all. One of the things that you just need to learn is it's good to have the latest equipment, but also too, it's good to have, some of the older stuff too, because that way you don't have to really break the bank and you're able to still get the job done for whatever is needed at hand. So with that, I will catch you all later.